Hi, and welcome to Business Computing Weekly. This is episode number 406, and we are actually recording this on June the 20th. A special guest today, Mr. Chase Nunes of GeekGamerTV. You know, we're not all business here at Business Computing Weekly. Sometimes gaming is a lot of fun, and so we're going to talk to Chase about some kind of interesting things that he's doing. You know, he's got GeekGamerTV. He's been doing internet broadcasting since 2005. He's built a really great community. Chase has done something a little interesting, and that is, unfortunately, due to the sign of the times we live in, he lost his job. He was a 10-year employee with the Nielsen Company. They're the TV ratings company, and then got another job with recently with a small software shop. But unfortunately, due to the economy, they couldn't keep him. So he went to YouTube, and he is looking for work. And I thought, well, here's somebody that really does a great job doing internet broadcasting. This is what he wants to do for a living. So we did an interview with Chase, and we talked to him about maybe expanding his brand using social media and also monetizing his website. So I hope you find this to be a very interesting conversation. Chase really opened up, and told me what was on his mind. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, which is GFI Software. Frugal Brothers has been a top GFI partner reseller since 2006, so we go back a long way with GFI. One of the most popular products that GFI is known for is called LandGuard, and the reason is simple. Computer networks are vulnerable to a lot of different security situations, including things like patch management, vulnerabilities, open ports, undiscovered devices attached to the network. There's just a whole list of different things that can go on there. And that's why GFI came out with LandGuard, and it is an extremely popular application. And you can deploy it on your network, and it will do a vulnerability scan, assessment, I should say, and a scan. And it's going to come back, and it's going to enumerate all the computers on your network, all the devices. It's going to give you a full detailed report, operating system, disk drives, installed applications, out-of-date patches, out-of-date third-party software, all that. And then it's going to say, hey, let's remediate this. And GFI LandGuard can then pull down the patches, third-party application patches, etc., and push all those out to your network. And it can do it silently, so it doesn't interrupt your people on the network. And to get a full 30-day working evaluation copy of LandGuard, go to frugalbrothers.com, and you will be able to download that evaluation copy. Anyhow, as I said, we have Mr. Chase Nunes on the show. I think it's a very interesting interview. Go ahead, let's take a listen. And joining us today is Chase Nunes of GeekGamerTV. Chase has been around a long time in the world of video podcasting, audio podcasting. He's got a very popular site at GeekGamerTV. And I wanted to invite him on today because he's doing some really interesting things with social media. So, we're not all work here at Business Computing Weekly. Hey, games are fun too. And I also wanted to pick his brain a little bit about this whole Xbox One flap that's going on as well. So let me bring Chase on. Good afternoon, Chase.
Hey, good afternoon, Bruce. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's get right to it.
Sure.
You've been doing GeekGamerTV since 2005. Is that right?
The name GeekGamerTV didn't come into existence until I'd say 3 or 4 years ago, but I've been doing some sort of broadcasting on the internet in audio and then video form for about 7 years. Yeah. So
about for 7 years. And this is something you have a passion for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it really goes back to when I was a little kid and with a tape recorder and mocking that I'm an announcer on the radio, baseball games, wrestling matches, things like that. And as soon as I could afford to start investing into this, it became a passion and an obsession all at the same time. So it's been crazy.
Well, it seems like you found a way to take a hobby, which is gaming. You love the game.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Plus, you love doing the audio, video, podcasting, netcasting, whatever you want to call this thing that we do.
Sure.
And kind of combine the two together.
Yep.
And gaming is hotter than ever today.
Oh yeah, well, more money is I saw a study or a survey not too long ago where there's more money that's being generated through entertainment and video games than there are through the movies.
Wow.
It's pretty remarkable, especially when you think about it. When you go out and if you purchased a new game today, it's going to cost you $59 as opposed to buying a DVD, which would be what, $20 or Blu-ray. So there's a lot of money to be had. I mean, you see the big glitz and glamour behind, the big expos like E3. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gaming's been in my blood since I was little. My first machine was a Pong little console, then moved up to an Atari, and Nintendo just went from there. So it's always been there, gaming, and then technology, obviously, because you can't have really one without the other. And so I've just kind of latched onto those two general areas.
PC or console gamer or both?
Both. I started off as a console gamer, and then when I could afford a computer that can actually decently run things, my first game that I ever got on the computer, oddly enough, was Microsoft Flight Simulator version 4.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What? You know what? I'm still a flight. Isn't it terrible that Microsoft canceled that game?
Well, they went in a weird direction, in my opinion. I mean, with Microsoft Flight Simulator X, and then right after that, they decided, well, we're going to try the whole free-to-play thing. And so they came out with Microsoft Flight, which was graphically great, but they tried to sell planes as packs and things. And it just, didn't take off. And so now we really only have one true simulator out there left, which is X-Plane. But you know what? A lot of people still use Flight Simulator. It's still very popular. A lot of modifications for it. But yeah, it's sad. I mean, I love playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. I still play it to this day. So it's a shame they're not making it anymore.
I do too. That's the first thing actually, I'll be honest with you. Flight Simulator X is the first piece of software I install after the normal, antivirus stuff and all that on PC.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, it's a great game, and it'll still work a system pretty well. I mean, you could just do a general search on YouTube. People have some incredible setups. I mean, they have multi-monitors, and they have the yoke, and they have the control panels. They have everything except for the actual plane.
Some of these guys actually got part of the actual plane. Have you seen the 737 simulator a guy built?
I saw that. Yes, wasn't he out of Europe or something?
Yeah, out of Germany or something like that.
It's just so cool.
That's not why we had you on the show. Although I am a fly. You're a guy that seriously I've wanted to talk to for a long time. And for one reason or another, we never got to connect. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, no problem.
I'm kind of in this niche of doing business related stuff, and I talk about Exchange and SQL and Azure and all this stuff. You did something interesting, though. It really, it got me thinking, because I've been doing a lot of stuff with social media in a big way here lately. I've had Guy Kawasaki on recently as a guest. And I've had, I'm going to have on Cliff Ravenscraft, the podcast Answer Man, is going to be a guest. Trying to get together with Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. He's had like 3 million downloads of his podcast. Wow. So, because I love social media, and I think that people who are not using it and using it effectively are really missing the boat. You posted a YouTube video the other day looking for work. Let's just be right honest about what you're doing. You were with the Nielsen company for a number of years. Yeah. That's the company that takes care of ratings on television shows and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
10 years or better you had invested with Nielsen?
Yep.
What did you do for Nielsen exactly?
I started off as a field engineer. So basically I was the guy who installed the Nielsen ratings equipment into panelist homes. And I actually relocated from Central California to the Seattle area for that position. 6 months onto the job, my boss was like, hey, we could really use someone like you up in Seattle. I just recently got married at the time, and said, hey, honey, how would you like to move? She's like, Seattle? Sure, let's do it. So we moved. And throughout the years, I was promoted, made my way through management, that sort of thing. And through reductions in the field force, Nielsen definitely changing, as any company had to during the tough times. And some may argue we're still in those tough times. I found myself back in December looking for a new career. looking for a new place. And so a couple months into my job search, I found a company out of Redmond, Washington, not Microsoft, not the big one, but I became a software test engineer, and I was there for 3 months, and I thought things were going great. And then I was, you get that call, you get that email, hey, Chase, I need to talk to you. And now I'm out there looking for work again. So I'm, as they say, gainfully unemployed at the present.
And what grounds? I mean, what was it? Just a reduction in force kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a very small company that I worked for. I went from a organization like Nielsen with thousands of employees worldwide to a company that was less than 50.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So they were making some changes, and they wanted to go in a different direction, and that's fine. It was out of left field. I was completely shocked.
Right.
Punch in the gut. Insert your clever cliche here. And so I've been chewing on it for a week or two, and I decided. So I have 2 YouTube channels. I have my first one, which I originally launched all my Geek Gamer content under, and then eventually I split it off where I put all my Geek Gamer content on a new channel, and then I still have my old channel that I was trying to figure out what to do with, and I decided to turn it into a more personal channel where I did vlogging and just personal things. And I decided to do a video blog of recent events, recent things that have happened, because admittedly, I'm 34 years old, and I have a plethora of experience when it comes to technical ability, management, video casting. I mean, just everything. And I decided to just be honest and just share what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions about what I've done and what I do with GeekGamerTV. People come to the website and they go, wow, this is really cool. This you put out good content. And I'm not trying to stroke my own back here, but these are just things people have said. And then they instantly think, wow, you put out all this stuff. You must be raking it in. You must be doing pretty well for yourself. And so part of that video was reaching out for assistance, but also telling people, I'm doing this as a passion. I'm just doing this for experience. I don't make it. I mean, short of the pennies that I pull in from the YouTube ads that no one skips, that's all I'm making from this. So, and to compare that to the thousands of dollars I've invested into it, people may say, well, why do you even invest? Why put the money and energy into it? It's like someone who loves cars or someone who loves to do old woodworking. People have their hobbies and their passions. This is mine.
No, I totally get that, because I'm kind of in the same boat when it comes to that. There's a lot of things, like woodworking and that kind of thing. I've got a brother-in-law who's a major woodworker and all that, and he doesn't really get why I enjoy this so much. But as you're right, we all have our passions and that kind of thing. Let's talk about your website for just a minute.
Sure.
So I went there to GeekGamerTV, looked around, and tried to educate myself. I ran some third-party analytics tools on your website, kind of get a ballpark idea of what kind of traffic you're getting, that kind of thing. First off, man, you have got a great niche to be in, which is gaming.
Yeah.
And you've been there a while, and your domain's been around a long time. Okay, so you've got all that going for you. And it's clear that when you set this up, you really didn't set it up as a business in the very beginning. It's not. It looks like that you this was going to be a hobby and just kind of grew.
Yeah.
And got more fun, and more people came, and it just kind of went together that direction. So just looking things over, I was surprised to find that I did not see any type of affiliate marketing going on your website. And I'm not talking about the Google AdSense crap.
Right.
Okay. I'm talking about maybe affiliate links with, high-end PC makers for gaming. I didn't see anything on there, maybe like the GameStops or whatever that world, anything like that. I didn't see any kind of affiliate stuff going on there. Tried to get a handle on the number of visitors you got coming to your site every day. I'm getting on the third-party analytics tools are infamously wrong, but I would ballpark you're probably getting somewhere between 500 to at least 1,000 visitors a day.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, in that ballpark. So that's a lot of traffic. It really is. That could be monetized. You said in your YouTube video that you had a passion for, and you just said it again, you had a passion for broadcasting and netcasting, helping people learn gaming, and you enjoy this. So if you could make a living, all right, at doing this full time, would that be the avenue you'd want to go? In other words, if you had two options on the table, Chase, we can give you a living working on a network somewhere for company XYZ. Here's your benefits. Here's your check. Or B, you can make the same amount of money being a broadcaster and hosting GeekGamerTV and doing these things. Which way would you choose?
Is this a trick question, Bruce?
No, it's not. No, because here's the thing: being an entrepreneur, is scary crap.
Oh yeah,
is scary shit, and I'm not going to pull any punches on anybody because it can be feast and famine, and it's not for everybody. You know, there's a lot of people, their comfort zone is to make sure that they have a check there on the 15th and 30th of every month they can count on. Okay, they like to know that they got a certain number of benefits and they get a vacation once a year, etc. If you've done the corporate ride, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So to give that up for the uncertainty of running a business full time, that's a big lifestyle change.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And plus you got to worry about things like medical insurance, and you got to worry about funding your retirement and all these wonderful things. So here's my point. There's a number of people out there that start a business, not necessarily because they want to run a business, but because they're trying to create a job for themselves. Okay. And the problem with that is if you don't have that entrepreneurial spirit, then what happens is that you'll have a business you can never grow, and that's what you've done. You've at best created a job for yourself, but you've taken on all the responsibility and given up the benefits if you had a job somewhere else. So that's a point that I like to get across to people, and that's the entrepreneur meter, to see where you kind of fit on that meter. Because it is not for everybody. And the problem with somebody that makes a job for themselves, now this is what I've run into, is first, they tend not to be able to expand it as a business because they're the worker, they're the manager, they're the boss all in one. And they can't seem to trust other people when it comes time to grow the business to take over those roles.
Right.
Okay. They don't have the entrepreneur mindset where you're out getting, I've got to eventually have somebody manage this thing while I go out and get new business. They don't have that. Maybe they're not having all the skill sets that's involved, because a lot of being an entrepreneur is growing that business and thinking about growth going down the road. Who we're going to, what's our business plan? Where do we want to be? What our targets are? So it's a different mindset being an entrepreneur versus just creating it. There's nothing wrong with creating a job for yourself, but know that if that's really what you're looking for, then maybe you are better off seeking employment with a company and letting them take the risk. So it's sizing up how risk adverse you are and the real true reason you want to do this. Do you want to build a business that's going to turn a profit that you can possibly sell someday? What's the big payoff?
Right, exactly.
Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to feel you out on. See where you were coming from on that. As far as, can you monetize your site? Absolutely, you can do it. And there's thousands and probably thousands of people out there that want to do the same exact thing. It is a very highly competitive thing. And I think you've got something there. I think you could monetize this thing. I think maybe, and this is what I want to talk to you about today, is a possibility that you could start really looking at Geek Gamer TV through a business owner's eyes and say, let's restructure this thing. Let's, look at how we can monetize these activities. Okay. And I think maybe do some redesign of the website. I mean, it looks nice, but there's obviously, if you're going to run it as a business, it's a little bit different deal.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if I did this wrong or not, but for example, I went to look at your forums, your user forums. I want to see how active the forums were.
Right.
But I had to register to look at those forums. I shouldn't have to, in my opinion, Chase, I shouldn't have to register just to look and search at the forums. I should have to if I want to post, but I should be able to at least peruse the forums. Go, man, this is really cool. There's a lot of activity. There's some neat people in here. I want to join. I want to come visit this site more often. So that's just a piece of advice I'd like to offer you today, is maybe open up those forums where, you know, a new visitor can come and kind of get a feel for the community,
right,
of what you're doing there. You know, I look at people like Cliff Ravenscraft. I look at people like Pat Flynn. And one of the things that I do is I try to see what the really successful people are doing. And hell, I don't have a problem trying to duplicate what they're doing. Okay. Whatever makes them successful. You know, somebody said, hey, Chase got a great voice. Yes, you do. You got a whole lot better voice. I got a terrible voice, man. I do. A matter of fact, I think one of the funniest comments I ever got in a video I did was, I sound like Janice, what was her name? Janice, old singer, hippie singer from Janis Joplin. I sound like Janis Joplin after a night out drinking. So, you know, radio is never going to be my bag, but that's okay. I mean, that's all right with me. You got a great voice and definitely got talent, and you've got the video thing down. Your video looks great, and your lighting, your set, it's all there. You got the content. I'm just thinking it's probably about putting all the right pieces together.
Right.
You know, is Twitch, Twitch, how's that affecting you?
Well, it's interesting because Twitch, is all about straight gameplay. If you go to Twitch and you want to watch somebody play Battlefield 3 or Call of Duty or the big, League of Legends, it's just gameplay. It's we're in a weird middle ground spot because obviously Geek Gamer TV is just not about gameplay. Sure, we show gameplay, we talk about it, we play stuff, but there's also people, talking heads and interviews and things of that nature. So we get traffic on there, and there's not a lot of traffic. It's very small, just because of the fact that I'm not just sitting here playing games all day. There's actually people who do that. So we're kind of in this weird, I would just say, gray area when it comes to Twitch.
Well, yeah, that's really interesting, because somebody commented, I think I was on your YouTube video, about you possibly doing more interviews, which I think just listening to you again, looking at some of your content, you would probably do very, very well at, Chase. And you know where a lot of the action is right now, of course, is in the indie game developers for mobile.
Oh, yeah.
And that could be a market for you to expand Geek Gamer TV, is to start talking to some of these mobile indie game developers and perhaps even doing some affiliate stuff with these guys as well. And get in there, get them on, expose them, get them, talk about their games. Because I think you would have a really cool niche in that area.
Right.
I don't know if any of this makes sense to you or
we actually have, I know you said you couldn't find it, but we actually have a whole list of affiliate links and affiliate stuff.
Yeah. See, if I go to that homepage, it really doesn't stand out.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. This is the thing. Now I understand that everybody has a different motive for why they do what they do. If you look at my website, frugalbrothers.com, it is all about reselling software. That's what I do to increase sales. Okay. And that is a machine that helps me with my financial services company. Okay. When I sell a substantial amount of software, I like to finance it. Okay. And I run it through Frugal Brothers Finance. But that's why I do Business Computing Weekly. That's why I do a lot of stuff. That's my end game right there, is to get people that website that are interested in buying what I'm selling. And that's why I've set it up. Because I know I'll never be a big time internet broadcaster. I get that. And that's not why I do it. But I'm effective because I had a plan in place. This is my metrics and how I measure my success. And so I'm just throwing this out there. Definitely in my opinion, it's probably time to have a business meeting, okay, and say, look, we've got to make, this thing has got to make money, and you deserve it, right? And we put a lot of work into it. You deserve to be paid. You know, and that's another thing about some people. They don't feel like they deserve to be paid for what they do, and that's something, but it's true.
Yeah,
you know, and you know, I'm just trying to think of some ways maybe to help you out there.
sure.
I'm just wondering if working and interviewing and getting in deep with the indie game developers on the mobile platforms and consoles and that kind of thing. Well, not consoles, because they're more, it's more mobile stuff for your indie game developers. Might not be a bad avenue to go and kind of build a niche out around that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's one of the beauty things about what I do is, you know, I focused on a couple of niches, like, you know, when Minecraft was really just, I would say, just starting to get really big, jumped into that, and that, you know, we do a show about that, and it does very, very well. And another niche that I'm getting myself into is pinball, competitive pinball. And so there's a few areas that I've always been about the niche, where, you know, I'm not going to compete against the likes of big game developers and, you know, big gaming websites like, say, IGN, for example. However, I feel like by being authentic and being genuine, that I can find a place and find a spot to fit into, and that's what I've been trying to do with what I put out, essentially.
Well, like I said, I think you're doing a really nice job with the content. So I don't, you know, that's probably not as big as issue as what you think, but it's more, I think, of course, obviously bringing more traffic to the site is always a good thing.
Sure.
Provided it's traffic that's going to be interested in what you're selling, that makes you money.
Right.
And you know, early on, I made a big mistake with Frugal Brothers. One of the big mistakes that I made was when I started doing a lot of live streaming. And the problem was, we embedded the live stream in my website, and we had the embedded chat room and all that stuff. And what I was doing is I was bringing everybody to that website that I didn't want, that would never buy a thing from me. And that was a mistake, because I don't care how many thousands of visitors you get a day. If these are people that can't potentially be monetized and made into customers, then what was it all for? And so I had to rethink all that, and we tore down and rebuilt frugalbrothers.com from the ground up, and to eliminate those kind of people from visiting our site. We don't want that anymore. And so a lot of people will get, you know, 404 errors or our 404 page now, because we pulled down a lot of content that was not relevant to our core mission of Frugal Brothers. We just got rid of it. And we did a clean sweep and said, look, we know who we want to come here, a particular kind of market. We need to cater to them. We need to provide content that will draw that kind of person and nobody else. And that was kind of hard to swallow, but we're now seeing the fruits of that labor.
Right.
Because now we're dealing with conversion rates. Okay. I mean, I look at like the cost to acquire a new customer. So I know what my head count is. I know what my conversion rates are. I know all this stuff like the back of my hand. All right. And this is just, and I hope I'm not offending you in any way.
No.
But I just wanted to I wanted to share this stuff with you to kind of see where you're coming from, because you said in your video you would love to do this full time.
Sure.
You said that.
Yeah.
And I would like to see you do that. I love it. One thing I love is I never go to work. I know that sounds crazy, but I never go to work. Even though if I'm not sleeping or eating or, you know, spending a few minutes with my wife, I'm working. It never seems like I'm working. And because I'm doing what I'm passionate about. And then it's really true. Then it never seems like you've worked, that you're working.
Right.
But you got to be pragmatic, and you say, look, I got to have health insurance. I've got to be able to retire some type of dignity someday.
Yeah.
You know, a greeter at Walmart's not always a good career path.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. So how do I get to that point? And I'm a reverse engineer kind of guy. And so what I do, Chase, is I look at the end game, say, this is where I want to be. Okay, so in order to be there, what did I have to do to get to that point? And then what did I have to do to get to that point? And I work backwards. So I take the end result and I start working backwards. And I would hope that maybe you might adopt that philosophy and take a look at GeekGamerTV and maybe build around it and try to and see yourself running a successful business. And you got to define them. Okay, this is the monthly income I need. Then I deserve a profit, because we go into business not to just make a salary, but to make a profit. And those are two different things.
Right.
Okay. And I see myself, maybe you see yourself 20 years from now or 10 years from now, selling the company to a bigger company for an acquisition or what have you. And in order to do that, what did we have to do? Well, we had to have internet properties that brought in so much revenue. And well, how do we do that? How do we get these internet properties? And you just keep working backwards and backwards and backwards. You want to pay yourself a salary. You want to make a profit. You want to fund for a time if you got sick and hurt and can't work, to have money coming in to pay the bills, all these things. And I think if you take that approach, you may have to work. This is the other thing. You may have to get a job in the interim period as you're building this thing up. I had to do that when I first started this company. I had to actually go do consulting for a mortgage bank in order to accumulate the capital to get this business started 7 years ago. Okay, so I would do that and work insane crazy hours there, come home and start working on Frugal Brothers.
Right.
You know, and I would fall asleep at the table. You know, I was getting by on like 3 hours sleep a day till I got this company up off the ground. But eventually we were profitable enough at a point that I could stop that and devote all my energy to this thing. So it might be there's a transitionary period there for you.
Sure.
Do you utilize LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Are you having any kind of success with it? Because I am dubious of the results people get with LinkedIn. I do believe there's people that find jobs once in a while through LinkedIn, but it's not everything that people might think it is.
Well, recently I've refreshed it in a way. One of the things I've done that I didn't do in the past was include my Geek Gamer TV experience on it. And that's just because of the fact that I felt, well, I wasn't making anything from it, you know? So why should I include it as experience? But a lot of people were like, no, you really should. So I did add that to my LinkedIn and got a lot of good, reputable people to write recommendations for my work that I've done. So I feel pretty good about my LinkedIn profile. And a lot of people are hitting it. I get analytics, that shows you who's found your profile and who's seen it and stuff. But obviously I haven't landed anything from that yet. But it does have, another 7+ years of experience thrown on there. So we'll have to see what happens.
And what is, okay, if you are, and you're definitely in the IT game, that's where your thing is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your main skill set right now in the IT world?
Well, it goes in many different directions. I mean, obviously, as a field engineer for Nielsen, I've had to do a lot of things as far as thinking on my feet, improvising, coming up with custom solutions for things. So when it comes to IT, a lot of things that encompass that, PCs, Macs, Linux, mobile. I know a lot about those skills as far as supporting those platforms, remote supporting, installation of software, all those general things, and supporting those people. Recently, I was just doing testing. I was trying to break software, and as I broke it, documenting that and how, and researching that and making sure those fixes are in place, and also speaking with developers and working through those fixes. So when it comes to that kind of, technology, yes, I'm pretty much all encompassing in that field. What I'm hoping to do is leverage my experience through Nielsen, and also through my technical experience doing Geek Gamer TV stuff into a job like, for example, I'd love to get in over at Microsoft in the Xbox, business division, just because of the fact that I think that'd be a good marrying of my skills and my passions that I do at Geek Gamer TV, and put those to work for a company in the interim. Like you said, one of the things I've been doing is I've been building this in my time outside of normal full-time employment. And I feel that I may need to do that for a short period of time, or maybe a long period of time, depending on, where that goes. So that's where I'm kind of looking right now.
Okay. Do you have any certifications, anything of that nature?
I have a couple of Microsoft Office user certifications, as well as an A+ certification. Past that point, I didn't take it any further.
Okay.
It was all, to me, it was about, applied experience, and that at the time, a lot of employers, that's what they were looking for, more over than just a certification.
Well, I tell you, here's what I'm seeing out there. There is a definite need out there for people who know their way around the cloud and the enterprise. There are a lot of companies now are saying, how do we migrate from things like our own internal, say, small business server, and how do we get our email, contacts, calendars, and all that migrated to Office 365? How do we get moved over to Google Apps for Business? How do we set up with Salesforce? How do we transfer data from this point to that point? This whole cloud thing. Right. And I'm seeing more and more opportunities out there as cloud Sherpas, if you will, or the role of cloud brokers. This is where I'm seeing demand from some pretty significant companies looking for people who are knowledgeable in cloud-based solutions, the ability to sell, implement, train, and migrate people to cloud-based solutions. Right. This is more of a specialized type of role for people. This is really hot, and it's getting hotter out there. And so I might throw that out there to you as a suggestion, maybe to look at as well. The idea of an IT generalist, unfortunately, I think the cloud is kind of doing away with some of that. Yes. I don't know if you know. We have a mutual friend, and he has a IT business out in Arizona, and Corn Dog Computers. You know Rob, yep. And Corn Dog. Me and him are really good friends, and he told me one day, he said, "My business will eventually die." Because things are getting so easy for people to set up and do that they don't really require my services that much. I'm working my way out of a job, as he put it. So in the IT world, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about the cloud, and there's definitely a need out there for people knowledgeable in helping small businesses and organizations move their data to the cloud. As I said, become a cloud Sherpa, if you will. Yeah. So that is something maybe to keep out there. But sure. I would love to see it grow and expand and monetize this whole community that you have. Of course you give back to your community, and of course you want to share, and of course you want to make your videos, and I understand that. But it's also, these people won't give you any money for it. They just won't. But people will pay for something they value. And I think you give stuff that has value away for free.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And that is, for an entrepreneur, a hard thing to stomach. It's like, really? You're throwing money away there, guy. But I want to see you grow this thing, and I want to see you monetize it and turn it into a business. And it may take time. But like the donation stuff, how much money do people really give you?
It's negligible.
You can't do right. You cannot depend. You can't depend on donations. It's just that ain't going to happen. That's a human nature.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing about information, electronic information sales, like ebooks and all that kind of crazy stuff, that's a tough gig. It really is. And because you got to convince everybody that they need to pay for, that you're an expert in something that they need to pay for.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got something they can't go find for free somewhere else. So that kind of stuff is kind of hard to do. That's why I like very specific types of affiliate marketing. And I think like you guys would be really, really great fit for, you know, people that did like custom gaming PCs, you know, people that did modding and all that kind of stuff, and maybe indie game developers and all that kind of thing. But people you work with, people you know, people you trust.
Right.
Okay. Because if you trust them in the community, your community knows you trust them, then they're apt to buy. Again, I go back to a guy named Cliff Ravenscraft. And one of these days when you get a little time, sit down and go to podcastanswerman.com. Because I think you and this guy has got a lot in common, by the way. And he built a nice business out of his passion of podcasting. Now, he's an audio podcast kind of guy. He does do a little bit of video, but basically it's a recording of him doing his podcast. But Cliff Ravenscraft, he's going to be a guest on our show in September. Build up Podcast Answerman to one of the top podcasts out there. He's got hundreds of thousands of listeners. Here's how he makes his money. He learned everything there was to know about podcasting. And he developed what he calls podcasting A to Z school. So he runs a course twice a year for like $1,000, and he teaches people everything there is to know about podcasting, A to Z as he calls it. Then he also has affiliates with like B&H and some other suppliers for podcasting equipment. Okay. So he has a relationship with Heil. He has a relationship with Mackie on the mixers, or B&H maybe. I'm not sure exactly who is through, for example, right. But he's got these affiliate relationships, and he sells, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000 a year worth of this equipment. And then he keeps a portion of the proceeds.
Right.
And so I maybe take a look at what he's doing. Maybe go take a look a little bit about, again, I'm going to mention a guy named Pat Flynn, what he's doing at Smart Passive Income. And because I think you could really monetize this stuff, but you've got the community that's there. They trust you. They like what you do. And they would listen to, if you said, hey, I truly believe that this is a good product, this console or this PC, this gaming rig, this video card, whatever it is, people would listen to you. Go, well, now Chase says it's pretty good. Maybe I ought to consider it.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense to you or not.
No, it does. It does. I mean, there are some things there we'd have to get into, but no, it does make sense to me. It's right now, as I also described in my video, I'm in a little bit of a whirlwind, a little bit of a spin right now, just because of all the things that have recently happened.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man, and I understand. No, the bills are coming due. If you're like the rest of us, you're probably not a rich guy.
No.
They've got a mortgage payment, gas, groceries, all that stuff to take care of. And I understand that. Are you a father? You got children?
No kids. I do have 2 pets and a wife. And, that's why I'm one of those things I'm also a big proponent for is I don't have any debt. The only debt that I have is the mortgage payment. I don't have any credit card debt or anything like that. So I do have some savings, emergency savings, and I'm going to be fine for a little while. I mean, not forever, obviously, but so I'm not in a super stress mode. I'm just more over in a, what's next mode. Trying to find a place where I can utilize all my skills in the interim until I can potentially build GeekGamerTV into something. Right now, it's a matter of survival, if you will. Trying to find a place where I can contribute.
Okay, and I understand what you're saying, Chase.
Yeah, it
makes a lot of sense. I've been there myself personally.
Yeah.
So I've been in your shoes, and the only advice I can offer you is, well, first off, you're in a lot better shape than a lot of other people would be because of your debt thing right there.
Right.
Because I'm just like you. I abhor debt. So that gives you a little bit of breathing room, and that's good. So the first step, right, is to breathe and relax and know it's going to get better.
Yep.
Excuse me.
No problem.
So it's going to get better, and to develop a plan. You know, this is a great time for you to plan and then begin executing the plan.
Right.
And if this is your passion, I think you've got a lot of potential there. And it's just imagine of maybe working with some mentors that understand more the business related side of the things to kind of help you get through. You know, maybe you need to, maybe you do need to borrow some money to expand the business. I'm not saying you should do that. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It could be a possibility. There could be a partnership you could enter into with somebody, but it probably wouldn't hurt to have somebody to be a mentor. Okay. To kind of take their time and take you under the wing and said, okay, this is what you do. Are you incorporated, by the way?
I'm a sole proprietorship.
Okay. See, that's not good. I would get you incorporated pretty quickly. We'll talk about that some other time.
Sure.
Okay. But I think it would be a good idea for you to develop, find a mentor to spend a little bit of time with you and talk to you about all these things so you have a better handle. Are you prepared to own your own business?
Sure. Yeah, I am.
Okay. Because it's a ride. It's a thrill ride, Chase.
I know.
It's going to make playing video games look lame-o. Okay, your heart will be in your throat many times, but it's an amazing adventure. It's an amazing adventure. Okay. And what's your wife think? Would she be supportive of you in if you said, hey, I want to do this. I'm got a passion for it. We can build this into a business and here's my business plan.
Oh, she's very supportive. I mean, she technically, I guess she has a home-based business. She's an independent contractor. She's a transcriptionist, so she works from home.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been very supportive, when I go, hey, honey, I'd like to spend some cash on a microphone. She's been very supportive, and she sees the potential there as well. So,
does she broadcast with you or record anything with you?
Well, a little mini trivia. I don't know if you caught the Minecraft show that we do, but we do a show called Minecraft Me, which is about the game from Mojang called Minecraft, and she actually, she does the intro to that show. A lot of people don't know that because they just hear this female voice, introducing the show. So she does the voiceover for that. But minus that, she doesn't like being in front of the camera or anything like that.
Okay.
So I promised her. I said, "Hey, honey, hey, do the intro, but I won't put you on camera." She's like, "Okay." And it's always cool little trivia. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, she's been involved in the past in other lesser roles. She's not as highly technical like I am in this kind of stuff. She's more of a casual gamer than anything else.
Does she? Okay, now do you guys do a audio podcast?
Everything that is done in video is also sent out in audio as well.
Okay, and so you've got your shows on iTunes and all the podcast directories.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just out of curiosity, she consider doing an audio podcast with you?
She has, but she's got her hands full with the transcription stuff. So.
Okay, fair enough. But she would be supportive of
right.
You. Say, I really want to build this thing. And is that what you want to do? You want to build up Geek Gamer TV? Is that what you, or do you got another idea maybe in mind that you're not ready to share?
Well, really, there's just a couple of ideas that's been floating around in my head. Obviously, building Geek Gamer TV into something where I can make not necessarily, replacement income, but residual income, I guess, if you will. It'd be nice to have some money that I can actually turn around and reinvest into new technology, new cameras, new equipment, that sort of thing. The other idea is still continue doing this, but just taking my skills and going to work for a company that does this, that has obviously the muscle power and the know-how, and I can help them help them grow. So I've thought about those couple of options in my head. And so in the meantime, I'm just kind of treading along, trying to find some footing right now, just because what happened.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, And that's what, kind of how that whole video came out to be, is just, just kind of reaching out to people and saying, hey, I'd love to know what you guys think and what you guys, your ideas. Because right now, admittedly, I'm a bit lost when it comes to certain things right now, just because of all the things that have happened. And in the meantime, I just continue trying to create content and trying to perfect it and try to get it better. Quality is so important to me. I don't want to put out crap or things that look crappy, or just, I look at it like a date, like going out with somebody, like, meeting my wife for the first time. You want to put your best foot forward. You want to, have a good, solid first impression. And I look at that at every piece of video that I put out there on the internet. If it's not good, and, if someone's coming across the website for the very first time and they see something about Minecraft or gaming or whatever, I want them to have a good first impression about the quality of work that I do, because of the fact I don't have that gravitas name recognition, say like a Leo Laporte does, for example.
Well, and Chase, that's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I try to do, well, since they may not know who I am, I want them to go, wow, this looks really good. I think I'm going to listen for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I see my end. I want it to look good. I want it to sound good. And I've learned to perfect that over the years on a shoestring budget. Sure, not everybody needs a high LPR 40. We were just talking about before the show the ATR 2100, which in my opinion is the best mic you can get under $50, bar none. USB and XLR.
I think it's even better than a lot of them $50 to $150 range mics.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with
It's amazing. That's what I use. I've been very thankful that I reached out to Personas, and I have a marketing agreement with them. And I'm not doing this as a plug, but I have this board over here which has built-in compressor and equalizer and all that fun jazz. There's a lot of podcasters and broadcasters on the internet who think they need a separate compressor, and they think they need this, and they think they need that. I pull out everything out of one little unit here, and it's one of those things where it's just like I've learned because I've had to, out of necessity, to try to come up with something on the cheap. While still, you're a man after my heart.
but while still putting out quality.
Yeah.
And
sure.
It's one of those things where, yes, sometimes you do have to spend a little bit to have a little bit of quality. Like one of the things that I did last year is I spent some money, and the camera that you're seeing me through is a JVC prosumer camcorder that has the ability to record 1080p video to SD cards. But the best thing about it is it records in a .mov native QuickTime format. So when I bring it in to Final Cut Pro for editing, it's native, and it cuts down on my post-production time. It's
you don't have to go through the conversion nonsense.
It doesn't have to convert. It's already done.
Nice.
So I just drag and drop the files, and I'll trim and I'll edit and I'll add titles. A lot of guys that I see on the internet, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a lazy factor. I don't know if it's a time factor. I don't know what it is, but a lot of them try to do everything during the show or during production, I would say.
Oh, yes.
And I don't like doing that. I don't mind post-production. I'll obviously I'll add in the titles and add in the music and add in all those things, because I think, by trying to take a shortcut or trying to trim it off during live, it makes the whole thing suffer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm running into some of that with because I'm really enjoying audio podcasting. I'm seeing some really good results with it.
Yeah.
And some of these guys like to do everything live. They don't want to do any editing.
Yeah.
So they have a sound cart application, and they got their iPad, and they're doing this and they're doing that. I don't ever picture myself ever being good enough where I could get through a show or a podcast without going, or, you know what I'm saying? Or stutter once in a while or screw up that needs to be edited out. So if that's the case, why not just clean it all up and post? That's my idea. But some of these guys, that's what they're going for. Last question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is unrelated to any of this business stuff. You know, I'm a business guy, Chase. I love talking business. I got a passion for it.
No problem.
Can't blame me for that.
No.
Okay. But I did a video back about a month ago, right after the Xbox One was announced. It was called 5 Reasons Why the Xbox One May Fail as an all-in-one entertainment device. Because this is, Microsoft is rebranding the Xbox as not just for games. In fact, games was probably one of the least things they actually pushed when they did the initial launch and demo of the Xbox 360. It's all about television, entertainment, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And today, I guess it was today, I woke up this morning to find that Microsoft had reversed about 3 of the different points that I had picked out on the article. I did not dislike it because of the way it looked. That's aesthetics. Didn't diss it because it's won't play 360 games, different architecture. Okay, fair enough. Or the price. Hey, you pay it, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Okay, but one of my chief concerns was about the draconian DRM stuff.
Yep.
The ability to sell and trade games is very important to a lot of gamers. Big issue. I buy most of my titles used, and I get them pretty cheap for my 360. As far as television goes, I think they're backing the wrong horse. One time there was a world's best buggy whip maker out there, and eventually they went out of business. And the point being is that they want to tie the Xbox to the traditional paradigm of paid television.
Yeah.
Where you have to have a cable provider, satellite or cable, in order to use all the cool features of the Xbox One. Right. Whereas more and more people are becoming cord cutters, and they're depending more on Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, seeking out their programming rather than waiting to see what's on the schedule on DirecTV.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big mistake. So Microsoft, but here's the thing. They took a pounding. Sony just nailed it at E3, and I don't blame them. Microsoft's done a horrible job with PR, horrible job with the Xbox, and they suddenly do a reversal on that.
I have a couple of theories.
I want to hear that from you. You're the go-to guy, so I want to hear what happened. Somebody get fired over this?
No. Well, I don't think anybody gets fired. It's hard to say. It's Microsoft, but here's what I think. Obviously, Microsoft, I think they went out on a limb first when it comes to trying to appease third-party publishers. Because third-party publishers, and by third-party publishers, I say EA is a great example. Electronic Arts is a huge third-party publisher. And so they have this feeling and impression that when a game they sell, and then all of a sudden that person that buys that game decides they don't want that game anymore, and they in turn say sell it on their own, or they trade it in a used game outlet, that they are potentially missing out on more money, more income, because they didn't buy a new game because they bought it used. And so I think what Microsoft was trying to do was appease those third-party developers by saying, hey, we have this new console coming out. We have this new awesome system that will allow you to control and have a marketplace, if you will, that gamers can sell their games used. They would have to go to an authorized outlet if they want to do it in a store. They could sell it to a friend, but then that friend can't turn around and resell it again. We have this great system set up in place. And so what they did is they came up with that system. And they're like, well, great. If we come out with the system as it is, gamers are going to just hate this. So we need to try to spin it in a way where we could make it more palatable. So what they do is they go, oh, hey, you're going to have, you can install your games on your system, and you can sell it to your friends. It's going to be all up in the cloud. It's going to be great. But then the details started coming out where the console would have to connect to Microsoft servers once every 24 hours. You would have to be friends with somebody for 30 days before you could sell that game to them. And then once you sell it to them, they couldn't turn around and resell it again. It would just be locked to them forever. So they obviously took a beating from a lot of people, especially like soldiers, for example, who loved the game in Iraq, but obviously they don't have internet out there very well. And so these consoles would become dead because they wouldn't be able to phone home. So Sony took a big opportunity, and during their E3 announcements, they said, hey, guess what? We're not going to have any restrictions. And they even went as far as to create a video. It was like a minute long. I don't know if you've seen it, where they demonstrated how you could sell and share used games on the PS4. And it was just one guy going, here you go.
Nice. Yes.
So Microsoft took a huge beating, and they had to make a change. They had to. I was saying to my friends, they're going to have to do something here. They just can't let this go, especially when Sony said that they're not going to have any restrictions. So what you're going to see is obviously as of right now, it's back to status quo to what's happening on the 360. But a lot of new game developers are creating. When you buy a game, it comes with a code within the cover that you use to activate that game for multiplayer play.
Right.
So I think you're going to see a continuation of that practice. Even though EA did say that they're going to discontinue that, I think you'll still see that with other developers. Personally, I'm getting both consoles.
You mean are you prepared for the flack for that? Because it seems to me...
I have to.
Seems to me these gamers go, no, Chase, you got to pick. You got to be on our side.
No,
I agree with you.
See, the thing is, there's strengths and weaknesses on both platforms, in my opinion. As of right now, the architectures are very similar. I mean, they're essentially PC boxes now more than anything.
Correct, right.
And I think you're going to see a reigniting of PC gaming thanks to these new architectures on the consoles, believe it or not, because it'll make it much easier for a developer to port games over to PC, because a lot of these games will now be built on PCs and on the PC architecture and then ported to the console because of that. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. The one drawback, and obviously this is a whole other topic for another day, but thanks to the revelations of the NSA spying on everything that we do, Microsoft, forcing the Kinect on everybody with the Xbox One, where, you have to have a Kinect plugged in. It's being sold with every console. You can't get a console without a Kinect. It's required to have it plugged in. It's going to be listening for you to say Xbox or whatever the keyword is. People are a little apprehensive when it comes to surveillance.
Oh, they're a lot apprehensive.
So you have that right now, which I don't know.
That would be a showstopper, by the way, for my wife. Because here's the thing. We have one television in the house, and it is in our bedroom. And she does not, because I got the Xbox 360 with Kinect, and I hooked it all up for her and say, hey, check this out and what it can do. She said, get that damn thing the hell out of my bedroom. Yeah. It is spying on me. And I could not convince her otherwise. And I sure wouldn't be able to do it with an Xbox One.
Yeah, that's true. Now, one thing you could always do is obviously the old-fashioned thing of
taping it over.
Yeah,
I know. No, she didn't. No.
Yeah.
No. She didn't buy it. Look, I think it would behoove Microsoft to offer a version of the One without the Kinect. Sell it $100 cheaper, make it $399, no Kinect. Because why? Look, we got a bet. It's going to be a better experience for gaming. That's why I want the thing. The television features mean nothing to me. Not going to use it. All right. The Kinect, I could care less about Kinect. Just want to play my games. That's what I want. That's what I want to do with it. And I want the best experience I can, but I'm not willing, for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I don't. I have a Kinect, and I actually have it turned off in the menus. Because I have a dog, and my dog will start wagging her tail while I'm watching something, and the universal sign for the Kinect to wake up is usually a waving of your hand, and so the Kinect thinks my dog is me, and it does weird things. So I end up having to turn it off anyway. I think it's great technology. I think the Kinect works very, very well. And the new version of the Kinect, it's going to have, HD cameras in it. It's going to work very well. I think it's great technology. Obviously, the whole voice activation thing, it's a little sluggish on the 360. That's probably going to improve on the Xbox One. But for me, it's just an accessory. It's not really integral for me. It's about the games and the content. I mean, I don't have cable. I don't have satellite. I cut the cord, if you will, a couple of years ago, and I use an antenna for all my local programming, and then I get all my anything that I want to watch via movies via Netflix or Amazon Prime or all these other third-party providers. So it's going to be interesting. I think the Microsoft obviously had to incorporate traditional television and sports just because of the fact that right now, still to this day, there's arguments left and right about how to monetize online content. And obviously right now, TV is still king. There's still, 110 million TV viewing households out there. It's still holding pretty strong. That's where the money's to be had right now. So they had to incorporate it somehow, some way. They had to. That's what they're trying to do, is an all-in-one entertainment box. And you know what? It plays Blu-rays. It incorporates with TV and all that. They have to. It's kind of nowadays. It's like you can't even buy a Blu-ray player without having it built in with Netflix. It's just the way it goes.
That is the way it goes. Chase, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your afternoon to come and talk with us on Business Computing Weekly.
Thank you, Bruce.
And give once again, your website is
GeekGamer.tv. And if anybody wants to connect with me personally, they can head over to my personal portal, ChaseNunes.com, Nunes.
All righty. Thank you, Chase. Take care.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Okay.